Jeez, it is the spooky season, and we are back for another spooky movie. Don't you love my voices? I hope so. Anyway, this is The Haunted Mansion. That "the" is really important because The Haunted Mansion came out in 2003. Haunted Mansion came out in 2023. So this is the Eddie Murphy starring version of the theme park ride. We've made two of these. This is the first one. This is only my second time seeing this film, but I decided to rewatch it and review it again. For this the second time. I didn't like this the first time I saw it in theaters, but it's been 20 years. So, why not? I can watch this film once every 20 years. Whatever. So, let's get into it. This is The Haunted Mansion. It has audio description on Disney Plus. So, yes, they did go back and make sure that this has some spooky audio description for you as well. It's not very spooky. But it's also not as cheerful. Oddly enough, I didn't find her to be quite as cheerful as, I believe her name was Alexandra Graham, which I don't think I've heard that name as much in narration, but it's still done by Deluxe, which does a lot of Disney's audio description, but she was not as cheerful as the first Haunted Mansion man was. I guess the second Haunted... I guess he's technically the second one, so never mind. The remake version. Anyway, I don't want to get lost in this, but he was really upbeat, and he needed to be. It's a PG-13 version. It's a little bit scary, it's a little bit darker, so you need that comforting, childlike wonder voice, I think, in the narrator. And here, you can have somebody who's a little bit more like, "Hello, adults. I'm here to be taken seriously. I'm your narrator." I was like, okay, let's do this. Because the film's a little bit goofier. Tonally, they're two different films. And this is directed by somebody, I don't know, I didn't even bother to check their IMDb. I was like, listen, if it's been 20 years and you haven't developed a name for yourself as a director, and I'm just like, who? Then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So, yeah, this is Eddie Murphy, and he plays a real estate agent who is really devoted to his job. He's really good at it, and he constantly introduces himself as a real estate agent to everyone, including the ghosts in this film. Because... Anyway, his job's getting a little bit in the way of his marriage, and even though I did get the vibe at the beginning that his wife was in on the real estate stuff, since the real estate agency is named after, it's like their last name twice, and apparently not, because he kind of messes up their anniversary, and she's not very happy about it, and he hasn't been doing a great job with the kids and paying attention to them, and he doesn't really have a great relationship with the kids. At one point later on in the film, he'll say something to his, I believe it was his daughter, something about like, Eddie Murphy has that like quick-witted comedy humor, and I'm like, do you think about the things that you say? But he says something to her where he's like, "With you and your creepy 13-year-old Latin-speaking self." And I was like, okay, Eddie, that's your daughter in the film. Mayhaps we should speak to them like perhaps you are their father and not call your child creepy. Anyway, Uh, it's, this film still doesn't quite work for me. It's like they shaped a film that was Haunted Mansion-esque, and then they just told Eddie Murphy to do whatever he wanted to do. And in this time period, it's not the right time period to just let Eddie Murphy do whatever he wanted to do. This was the same time period where he was making films like The Adventures of Pluto Nash. So, when Eddie Murphy was doing what he wanted to do, wasn't necessarily making great choices. So, it's not a bad movie. I'm actually coming back on this and saying I was a little bit wrong. It's funny how when something sits in your brain for a long time, it can actually, you know, that rose tinted glasses can make something feel better or feel worse. And I think I thought this movie was like absolute garbage, like just like bottom of the heap, down there, way down at the bottom with, some like the worst films I've seen of all time. It's not. It's actually, I'm actually going to give this a fairly decent grade. I thought it was fairly entertaining. They didn't quite put the budget into it that they put into the new one, I don't think. Just by showing me who the cast is, I mean, the cast is wildly different. The cast for the time period, either they spent a ton of money on Eddie Murphy and had no money left, because they have a lot of just sort of like, who are you type of people, but they also have a lot of people who I guarantee you their paychecks were not big. Terrence Stamp, Wallace Shawn, and Jennifer Tilly did not make that much money to do this film. So in comparison to the two casts, because I actually watched the remake first and then the original version, when you look at the two casts, yes, Lakeith Stanfield is not Eddie Murphy. However, when you add in Owen Wilson, Rosario Dawson, Tiffany Haddish, Danny DeVito, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jared Leto, you get a cast that is fairly marketable as an ensemble, perhaps more so than just Eddie Murphy, backed up by like, hey, those guys. So, I think they just spread out the cast more in the remake. So instead of putting it all on the weight of one star, like this one does, they put the weight across a cast, across an ensemble, and it actually works better in the remake. The remake is still better. It still feels more like it is the Haunted Mansion and not just a Haunted Mansion. There are some references that feel close to the ride in this film. There's a barbershop quartet of singing ghosts in this film. And they still have the same Madame as they do in both films. This time it's played by Jennifer Tilly, and the other one is Jamie Lee Curtis. They're played totally differently. Like, Jennifer Tilly's is much more for laughs and kind of like self-aware. She's like, what do you expect from me? I'm just in a ball. Whereas like Jamie Lee Curtis's was, she came out and was like actually helpful at certain points. Anyway, it is what it is. So, I'm just coming here to say that I apologize slightly to the film, because somebody had walked up to me and been like, quick, give me a grade on The Haunted Mansion from 2003. I would have been like, I don't know, D? It's not. I don't know. My brain has allowed this film to deteriorate over time. Either that or else I just watched it. I was working in the theater at the time, so I saw this as a theater employee. I don't know. Maybe I screened it and it was too late. I wasn't giving it the time that it needed to marinate. But this is just kind of, it's like slightly disappointing. It relies way too much on Eddie Murphy to just come up with like his wisecracking Eddie Murphy humor. I actually would have much preferred him to be in the remake. I think he's come a long way as an actor, especially in his later years. He's brought a lot of maturity to his roles, and the Eddie Murphy that he is now can be funny and also could have easily hit all the same notes that Keith Stanfield hit, and would have met the tone of humor that's being brought by the side characters. So I would have been interested in seeing that version of the new Haunted Mansion, allowing Eddie Murphy to reprise the same character, the same representation, I guess I should say, of having the lead character, but with a different ensemble that supports him comedically and has a tonally different outlook than this film does. This film is, we're at this mansion. Oh, that painting looks like my wife. Maybe that's why we're here. Oh, it is. It is why we're here. Okay, they're trying to marry my wife. The ghosts. That's weird. I don't remember this on the ride, but all right, cool. And that's kind of where the film goes. They're trying to break the curse by marrying Sarah to a ghost. Anyway, it's, you know what? This one is the better version for little kids. If you want your kids to watch a Haunted Mansion movie this Halloween and you're like, which one do I go for? I would say this one. If they're littler, this one has less scary attempts at being scary than the other one does. The other one kind of flat out has a couple moments where it's like, listen, we said it was PG-13, so don't look at us. Don't you put that stink eye over here. We did put a 13 on here, so parental guidance suggested for children under 13. We did that. You had the option, and you still made the choice. So this one's PG. So it feels it too. So better than I remembered. That's the Disney can use that as my great quote. Better than I remembered. The audio description here is fine. I wasn't very excited about it, but I feel like it did a good job of describing things like the house, and I wasn't like left questioning like, ooh, what's going on here? Ooh, I don't understand this. Ooh, what's happening? There were some sort of spooky, ghosty moments throughout, and I felt like they all kind of translated, and I was able to follow them, so that's good. Of the two narrators, I think the other guy was narrating a film meant for families, and she's narrating a film meant for adults. It's almost like they need to be swapped, but at the same time, I could see the benefit of having a comfort voice in a scarier film, and then having a more adult voice to kind of bring the adults along that presumably showed up for Eddie Murphy. So either way, both of them describe the mansions well enough, and the things that go along the way, and I was happy with both. Just two very tonally different narrators between the two films. I actually prefer the remake. So this one, even though it came a long way in terms of grading, it did not surpass the remake. So if you can only watch one, if you can only stand to watch one Haunted Mansion film this year, watch the remake. I'm going to give The Haunted Mansion from 2003 a C+. Yeah, that would even be a fresh grade for me on Rotten Tomatoes. It would be a low one, but I would consider that to be a fresh grade. So, anyway, that's it. That's it for me. I'll be back with more spooky movie reviews So make sure to click that subscribe button. And we will, I don't know. I don't even know what's next. I don't know what's happening anymore. But I also have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on X, Instagram, or Threads at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what is audio description, where you can watch it, and you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. It'll let you know more about Miss Alexandra Graham and what else she's narrated. And that's it. I will review something else and see you guys on the other side.